All right, folks. Now we are turning our attention to the future this coming weekend. One championship. And this is going to be one on Prime Video, on Amazon Prime Video.
Two separate events.
There are two sets. There's one on Friday and there's one on Saturday.
One championship 160 and one on Prime Video 1.
It should be noted, I believe, one championship 160 is not on Prime.
No, it's not.
Only the one championship on Prime is on Prime.
I love it.
Yeah. Let's see. This says
one likes to make things super simple for people.
This says they're both on Friday morning. That can't be right.
Yeah, I was confused, to be honest, looking at all of it. But I also know...
Thank God for one, at least. We almost had an empty weekend.
What I like about one is that one gets creative with stuff, man. Like what they did with DJ versus Rae Tang, mixed MMA and Muay Thai in the same fight. That's cool. Mm-hmm. That's really cool. So on this card, we have both MMA and Muay Thai, different fights. Omar, you want to preview some MMA, some Muay Thai fights?
I would love to.
Real quick.
For clarity, real quick, the 160 card is going down August 26th, Friday, 8:30, their local time. So whatever that is over here, I think it's a 12-hour difference here.
Singapore.
It's 8:30 a.m. here, yeah.
And then the one card, I think you're right, because it does say August 26th, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time.
It's 8 p.m. So one is morning here, one is night here.
Yeah.
That's what it is. The thing I was looking at both said AM. That's why I fucked up, but they just typed it wrong, I guess.
Right. Okay, so the one-on-one Prime Video, I think, technically happens first.
No, no, that one's at night.
But the 160 doesn't happen till Saturday morning.
No, Friday morning.
Their time, not our time.
No, it happens their Friday night, which is our Friday morning. I'm looking at their website right now. The 160 happens Friday at 8:30 p.m. Singapore time, which is Friday.
Right. It's one day, Friday, 9 hours away from now.
Which is Friday, 8:30 a.m. our time.
Yes.
Then the other one happens at 8 a.m. Saturday Singapore time, which is Friday night here. So for us, it's Friday morning, Friday night.
For
viewers, how good is this content?
For the one executives who are obviously listening to our podcast right now, you got to make this easier, just a little easier. It's a little confusing here. But let's jump into some Muay Thai real quick. There are 3 really good fights that are going down this weekend in terms of Muay Thai. Well, 2 big fights in terms of Muay Thai, 3 fights in general on that card that are fantastic. Obviously, Adriano Moraes versus Demetrious Johnson will be going down in that on that card. But apart from that, there is Nango Giyangado versus Liam Harrison. Liam Harrison is an absolute monster. If you've ever watched any of his fights or any of his training videos, he's an absolute savage. He's actually one of the guys that I look at when it comes to leg kicks. He throws leg kicks a very specific way that you basically keep your foundation. You don't over rotate, and you can basically deaden somebody's shin with a very quick, untelegraphed power kick. So I look at Liam Harrison all the time for a lot of his technique. He's very, very good. Definitely recommend you watch him fight. Both of these guys have records in the hundreds, and it will be, I would imagine, a very competitive fight. Liam Harrison's last win was actually against the legendary Sanchai. Sanchai is generally known for fighting guys bigger than him. I don't think he's fought a guy his size in like a decade or so. And that's part of one of the things Sanchai likes to do to be competitive, and because there's just more opportunities for him against guys that are bigger than him. So Liam Harrison was one of those guys. Liam Harrison did a thing that is very rare to do against Sanchai, which was knock him down 3 times for a TKO win. Liam Harrison's the real deal. So definitely make sure to check him out. And then for those of you who saw the last event with Demetrious Johnson against the Muay Thai specialist Rae Tang, Rae Tang is getting back into the Muay Thai ring against a Cyprus native, Sevas Michel, or Sevas Michael. I'm not really sure how that goes. But Either way, Savas is actually a very interesting fighter because he has less experience than anybody else on this card when it comes to Muay Thai. He's actually got a record of 40. Oh, did I just close it? Hang on. Chooch move. He has 45 wins and 4 losses. Every single one of these guys that I'm talking about here have a minimum of at least 300 fights on their records. Liam Harrison, I think, has... Actually, that's a lie. Liam Harrison has 116. The guys that are straight up from Thailand, this gentleman, Nango, has 326 fights on his record. And Rae Tang has 320 fights on their record. So the two guys not from Thailand have less, but like I said, Liam Harrison still has over 100 fights on his record. Michael has, 49 total. But with only 4 losses and knockouts all over his record, he's definitely somebody that you need to look out for. Rae Tang is obviously not somebody that goes away easily. The way these Muay Thai guys fight, they are absolute monsters and pieces of steel when they hit each other. So definitely be on the lookout for these two Muay Thai fights. Absolutely recommend. It will be nothing but fireworks. I don't recommend going into these fights expecting knockouts. That's not how these fights generally work. Muay Thai fights tend to be very, very technical, very grueling, and very fast paced. So I would be, if you're interested in those kind of fights, really technical fights, these are definitely the fights to watch for.
Okay. What else, Mark? You have some little previews for Tan Lee and Tang Kai?
Oh, I think Omar wants to do these too, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll go one by one. You can cue it up.
I think I have my cards mixed up apparently. So why don't you guys take it?
Oh, all right. So by the way, I looked it up. So the morning card is on YouTube that you'd be watching it, and the night card is on Prime Video. So we're going to talk about 3 MMA fights here. The first 2, which are the featherweight championship and the lightweight championship of ONE FC, are on that morning card. The final one, which is the DJ fight for the flyweight championship, that is on that night card on Prime Video. So first one we'll do, featherweight championship, which in one is 155. We always have this discussion every time because they do the hydration tests and all. So they're 155 there. If they were over here, they'd be 45ers. Featherweight championship, the champion is Tan Lee. He is defending against Tang Kai. Omar, you want to take it first, or you want me to take it?
You can take it first.
All right. I think it's probably safe to say this one is not going to be hitting the ground. Both of these guys, number one avenue to victory is to come in and try to take your head off. They're both nasty strikers. Tang Kai has won 9 in a row, 7 of those by knockout or TKO. Tan Lee has won 5 straight, all by knockout. We're going to see someone fall here, very likely. And I'll be honest, I know Tang Kai, but I don't know him incredibly well, so I wouldn't say this is quite the level of informed prediction I'm usually giving. But with that said, I trust Tan Lee right now. His last fight against Gary Tonin impressed me a ton. I think the fight IQ that carried him in that fight may similarly give him the edge in this one. As the fight goes on, I think he starts to get his reads, finds his spots better. I will say Tan Lee defends the belt with a round 3 knockout of Tang Kai.
Omar?
I would have to agree. I'm pretty high on Tan Lee right now. I'm one of these guys that when I saw him on Tough, I thought he could actually hang with the best of them. I think his real issue was at the time and might even still be, the ground game is his weakness. And I think he's bridged that gap quite a bit, so it's not as much of a discrepancy, I think, as it was in the past. I don't think he'll need to worry about that here, though. And I think when he's in a position where he doesn't need to worry about that facet of the game the same way he would with, let's say, a Gary Tonin, for example, who would want to take him to the ground, I think he's able to style a little bit more and have a little bit more fun. I'm of the mindset that Lee is a little bit more dominant than Kang is, although it'll be a firefight for sure. I think Lee is just a little bit sharper, and I think he will come out with a KO in round 1.
Wow. Damn.
Okay.
All right. Next one. So this one is the lightweight championship. Again, they're 170 over there. They'd be 55ers if they were over here, if they could make it. All these are if they could make it, because you never know with what's going on over there in one, especially with the last fight we're going to talk about tonight. But this one, the champ is Rae Yoon. he is defending in a rematch against the man he took the belt from in Christian Lee. These two fought in September of 2021, and Rae Yoon took Christian Lee's title by a highly controversial decision. I do remember watching and thinking that Lee had won at the time, but Oak was in the fight throughout. Like, there's no reason to think he can't defend the title in this one. It was a close fight, but I remember a lot of people didn't feel great about the decision. There was a lot of debate back and forth about which way it should have gone. I love that one has decided to run this right back. Granted, almost a year later, for I don't know what reason exactly that we took a whole year. But here we are, and we're going to get the whoever is the rightful lightweight champion will hopefully be sorted a little more definitively in this one. Lee is going to come in there like a ball of fire and try to pour it on Rae Yoon. That's how he fights. That's all he knows. And especially after the judging controversy, I'm sure he is not going to look to leave it in their hands again, and that he's going to hunt for that finish from jump. Rae Yoon is the craftier fighter, probably. He's got the cardio on his side. Sometimes Lee fades a bit because of how hard he goes out the gate. Oak knows how to score points. He's just not likely to finish you. So it's really two different styles clashing in there. Usually you know where I go on that type of style clash, which is that I tend to lean toward the guy who can finish fights. So put me on Team Christian Lee. I will say he is going to be the first person to finish Rae Yoon since Song Yadong did it way back in 2015. I will say Christian Lee takes the belt. Give me a round 2 TKO.
Ooh.
I like Christian Lee. I like that whole family. I'm a big fan of Angela Lee. What she did to Stem Fairtex in her last fight was dope.
Yes.
And I'm a big fan of Christian Lee as well. I think he's actually got some really good skills. Sad that we may not see him on this side of the pond. For us to see him with guys that we know and we revere in that weight class. But the fact is Christian Lee's a dangerous dude, man. And not to rehash everything that Mark just said, but I also think that Christian Lee won that first fight. And I think there's something about the second fight that makes me think he'll come in even more prepared than the first. And as a result, I'm going to go with a spicy pick. I'm going to go with Christian Lee by submission.
I thought about it.
Round 2.
Before we move to the next one, I don't know what Eddie Alvarez is doing over there. Maybe
Facts.
he has decided that he's retiring. I mean, the man is 38 years old, but he hasn't fought since April of last year, so it's been over a year. And I know it's been a little up and down for him over there. He recently lost to Rae Yoon. If Christian Lee gets this belt and we could put Eddie in a fight where he could get a win, him and Christian Lee would be so much fucking fun. Like, I feel like while Eddie is in one, we can't not have that fight happen. So I hope they figure out a way to
Eddie looks gigantic. Eddie looks like the biggest he's ever looked in his life.
When?
I've seen him on Instagram. He just looks. I don't even know if he's like.
When he fought Rae Yoon, he looked like a midget compared to Rae Yoon, which again always makes me not love these hydration rules.
I mean, like buff, like, and I don't even know if like shredded is really it. Some of that might be some dad shit going on there. But
dude, maybe he's done. Maybe he said I've had enough and just hasn't officially announced it.
Maybe.
Who knows? All right, last one. We move to the prime card at night. Our final preview of this week's show. Not that much MMA this weekend. It's the big one. It's the rematch for the flyweight title. Again, it's 135 over there. They'd be flyweights here. The champ, Adriano Moraes. The challenger, Demetrious Johnson. Another rematch. Omar, you want me to go first again, as I've been doing?
I'll go first here.
All right.
Moraes
to you.
Moraes and Johnson are fighting again now for the second time. The first time was kind of a spectacle, I got to say. I don't know if anybody would have ever picked that specific finish to happen. I will say Moraes in the first fight looked bigger than Johnson, physically bigger, longer as well. Was definitely able to look like he was stronger than Demetrious Johnson in the clinch and in the grapple situation. Got Johnson to the ground and kneed him straight in the face right he was against the cage. And this was like weeks after we had talked about, there was like all this discussion about knees on the grounded opponent and
because of Piotr Jan and Aljo.
That's right. That's right. It was
And
weeks
DJ
after
had
that.
chimed in on it.
And so crazy. And right after that, DJ was like, I'd still like knees on the ground. It's fine. It's all good. But to be honest, that fight ended so quickly that it was difficult to really evaluate the fight as a whole, other than taking away from the things that I just said. The size differences, and just sort of the result thereof. I love DJ, and I want him to win. I always want DJ to win. But Moraes is not really a bad fighter by any stretch of the imagination. The kid is very, very, very good. And with the size advantage he has against DJ, it's a really tall order at this point, I think, for DJ to win this fight. I will be rooting for DJ. I want DJ to win. But if you had a gun to my head and said I would be wrong, if I'm wrong, I die, I'm going to have to go with Moraes. I'm going to go with Moraes by decision. I don't think he knocks him out again. I really hope he doesn't knock him out again. But I do think he gets the better of him.
Yeah. So, as Omar said, the first time we saw this fight, it did not go very well for Demetrious Johnson. We kind of thought we were going to have this coronation of DJ went to 1. He worked through the ranks. Here we go. Now we put the belt on him, and it did not happen. But I'm struggling because to not pick Demetrious Johnson still feels absolutely insane because he's Demetrious Johnson. But Omar touched on it. Adriano Moraes is huge, and this is the one that always bothers me a little bit about however the hydration works over there. If Adriano Moraes could ever make 125, if he fought in one of these other promotions, I would be absolutely shocked. Maybe if he changed his body type. I know he's made it in the past, but his body type is so fucking big and muscular. I can't imagine that man making 125. It feels like him and DJ are in two different weight classes. He's 5'8". He has a 69-inch reach. DJ is 5 inches shorter. He's got a 3-inch shorter reach, and as I said, significantly smaller human. And to top it off, Moraes is very good and very dangerous anywhere the fight goes. But I kind of want to say that he had his day, that he had his big moment in MMA, and boy, was it ever a moment. But Demetrious Johnson is one of the most talented fighters I've ever seen in my life. He hasn't shown us any reason to think he's fallen off. Doesn't matter that he left UFC for ONE FC. It doesn't matter that he's been fighting someone infrequently. I haven't seen any reason to think he's not still Demetrious Johnson. He looked great against Tang. Obviously, it was a mixed rules fight, but I thought he looked fantastic. It's possible that the size is just too much to overcome. It's very possible because you see them stand next to each other and you're like, what is happening here? But I guess I'm going to need to see that twice because I think DJ is just crafty enough to get inside. I think he's so damn fast that he can stay inside enough to win this fight. And I will say he wins a UD. And
wow. Takes it back.
Well, not back. He's never had it.
Oh, that's true. The first one. Yeah. Good talk. Nice. I'm going to side with Omar here. I think that DJ, he's getting a little long in the tooth, combined with the fact that Moraes is a much bigger fighter. I'm going to take Moraes. I don't remember exactly what the time was or what the round was last time, but I'm going to say Moraes finishes him again.
It was round 2 last time.
Let's go round 3. Fuck it.
All right.
Okay.
Well,
all right, boys.
Guys.